We are thrilled to bring you the first MOG Antibody Disease Awareness Month.
We're very excited to be celebrating our first year as a nonprofit solely dedicated to MOGAD disease.
The MOG Project started as a kitchen conversation shortly after my diagnosis with MOG antibody disease after years of looking for answers for debilitating and recurring symptoms, including crushing chronic fatigue. The roots of this organization sprouted with the Transverse Myelitis Association, now the Siegel Rare Neuroimmune Association.
We decided, however, that we wanted to create an organization solely dedicated to MOG.
We hold the sRNA near and dear to our hearts, along with our other partners who are dedicated to rare neuroimmune conditions, including MOG antibody disease. Naturally, in the spirit of our continued collaboration, we decided to create this month of April as the month for MOG patients. We are also thrilled to have the Sumaira Foundation, the Guthrie-Jackson Charitable Foundation, and My Myelitis joining us in the celebration.
Our mission is patient advocacy and support, education for patients, caregivers, and doctors, as well as support and funding for research.
MOG antibody disease is a neurological autoimmune disease in which the immune system attacks the MOG protein. MOG stands for myelin oligodendrocyte glycoprotein. The symptoms are related to the attacks on the optic nerve behind the eye and on the spinal cord. So when the attacks occur in the optic nerve, it causes vision loss and pain behind the eyes. When it attacks the spinal cord, it can cause weakness, numbness, and bowel bladder problems. The attacks can occur several times a year, but it's also very treatable in the sense that treatments like steroids and IVIG can suppress the disease and prevent the attacks from occurring again and again.
When I lost my eyesight without any warning, I was very scared. I immediately called my eye doctor, and she got me in touch with a specialist who diagnosed me with MOG. They put me on a high dose of prednisone, which cleared up the attack. My eyesight returned pretty quickly, but I felt really bad after that, and I had high blood pressure and I had fatigue. Eventually that went away, and I worked with a neurologist to put me on azathioprine as a preventive medicine. My blood pressure went back to normal. My fatigue was gone, and luckily I didn't have any more MOG attacks. So I felt really good, but I was still very scared because I had no idea if this would happen again, and I didn't know anybody who had this disease.
When my daughter was diagnosed with MOG at age 7, our lives changed forever. Having a child with a rare neuroimmune disease changed my perspective on daily life. Early on, we worried every day about her health. Was she relapsing? Did she have a headache? Did her eyes hurt? We are now 4 years from her diagnosis, and while the worry has lessened, it never truly goes away.
I have ADAM MOG. ADAM is bad. Did you know that? And I'm getting better because this is our last poke.
When my daughter was diagnosed with MOGAD, our lives changed forever. From the very beginning, my daughter ended up in ICU, and it was very traumatizing how my daughter was fighting for her life through this difficult illness. Then it took several years of therapy and her having to regain all that she had lost through it. We ended up having to take my daughter and my son out of school to homeschool them due to my daughter's ongoing illness and relapses, as well as her treatments, which she was having to be hospitalized for.
Patient-led organizations are really important to help us carry out the mission of curing MOG antibody disease. The patient advocacy organizations not only help us with support for grants to obtain funding to do our research, but they also help us connect to patients for recruitment for things like clinical trials and blood samples. So we've been working with these different organizations for some time now, and they've been invaluable in helping us get this research done.
Joining the MOG Project allowed me to channel the anxiety I had around my daughter's diagnosis into something productive. And I have met some amazing people along the way.
Being a part of this organization has been incredible, from being able to create information that now people are able to use for MOG that wasn't available when my daughter was first diagnosed, to seeing support groups get created and being able to interact with other people, with other patients, to see that they're not alone, as well as that none of us are alone going through this journey.
And I just instantly had this group of friends who I could talk to about living with MOG, about medication, about how to deal with attacks, and most importantly, I just felt like I was no longer alone. So for anyone who's suffering from MOG, my hope for you is that you find a treatment that allows you to live a full life, and you get connected with a support group of people who you can talk to about this disease and living with it. The reason I'm part of the MOG Project is I want to work with the medical community to improve treatments, to find quicker diagnosis, and to eventually find a cure for this disease.
MOG may have cost my sight, but it has lit a fire under me in helping others. The MOG Project has given me purpose in being a blind advocate and helping others in the community each day, in providing blind resources for those that are newly blind and being diagnosed. My hopes for the future is that they can restore sight, but also find a cure for this very rare disease.
Patients with MOG antibody disease are rare, and it's not like you can just go out and find samples when you need them to do research in the lab. So having access to MOG antibody disease patient samples is really critical. And in my clinic, after a full clinic session, I'll ask the patient to please donate blood or serum or saliva or whatever we need at the time. And to have the generosity of patient contribution has been really important for our lab, because, as I said, you can't just go buy these kinds of samples. You really need patients to help you with this research.
I was diagnosed with MOG antibody disease in May 2020, a few months after I suffered a transverse myelitis attack, which caused me to lose a sensation in half of my body, and I also lost the ability to walk. Whilst recovering, I started the My Myelitis website and YouTube channel to raise awareness for MOG antibody disease and record my recovery. This later turned to creating content about MOG antibody disease to inform and help people diagnosed with the condition. The MOG Project has been a great help both to my recovery and my myelitis. By providing information, I was able to learn and influence my recovery. I'm glad to say that I'm now back on my feet and still continuing to recover from the few lingering issues I have. Partnering with the MOG Project has also allowed us to collaborate on content, research projects and support groups, so we can continue to raise awareness for the condition and provide relevant and updated information to those who need it.
Having MOGAD has changed my life because it has allowed me to become the passionate primary teacher that I am today, who is a strong advocate for young children, especially those with neurological conditions. It has opened my heart and my eyes to see what is truly important in life, and that is my family. It has taught me to follow my dreams, but most importantly, to appreciate all the little things that life has to offer. It has provided me with an opportunity to extend a helping hand to expand social media networks such as Twitter by using my creativity, use my mathematical skills to collect, organize, and analyze data on projects such as the Ignition Survey, and collaborate with doctors both internationally and nationally to help others who have MOGAD. My hopes for the future is that MOGAD will be its own separate disease with an international criteria where neurologists all over the world can be familiar with the disease so that they can give the accurate diagnosis to those new patients, but most importantly, develop a treatment plan that helps relapsing patients who are suffering from MOGAD and reverse disability, especially for those who cannot walk or are suffering from blindness due to MOG antibody disease.
Hi, I'm Rose, and this is my dog, baby. She's supposed to be training to be my therapy dog. So that she can help me because I have my MOG. And I just want to say, if you have MOG, you don't really need to be afraid because it's nothing to be worried about.
Well, the interesting thing about MOG antibody disease is that the immunity is very specifically targeted towards one protein, MOG. So we know exactly what's wrong with the immune system in this disease, and that affords us the opportunity to correct that one problem. Rather than suppressing the entire immune system to prevent relapses, we think we can re-educate the immune system to that one error, to tell it to tolerize, to accept MOG instead of to attack it as if it were a foreign protein. There are 3 companies that we're working with right now to achieve that end. We're working in our lab and they're working in their labs. And we're all particularly excited about MOG as a proof of concept. So if it works for MOG patients, it might work for other diseases in which we know the precise target of the autoimmune attack.
And this can be like a really, really lonely journey, as we all know, this journey of having MOG AD, especially because it's so rare. And I'd never met somebody else with MOG AD until finding the MOG Project, which for me was like completely life-changing because I lived almost 4 years, like never having met another soul with MOG AD. So when I found the MOG Project and I met the amazing people there, I was so excited to be able to, swap stories and hear about their experiences.
If there was a silver lining besides getting to spend all the time with my mother that I do, it's all the wonderful people I've met through Facebook support groups and through the MOG Project.
I just know that there's so many amazing doctors that are working tirelessly on trying to find a cure for MOG AD, and that the MOG Project is behind them and doing everything they can to raise awareness so that we get there even faster and better.
So some people have asked us, why the hummingbird? The hummingbird symbolizes our strength, courage, resilience, adaptability, maneuverability, and dependability despite being small. So this month, let's fly together as one large flock of tenacious hummingbird warriors.